If you've ever watched a shiny new car break down after 3 years while your neighbor's 1980s beater starts every morning, you know modern cars aren't built like they used to be. Some of these have run over 3 million miles without an engine swap. These old cars' engines refuse to quit, bodies don't rust, and you can actually fix yourself. Today we're counting down 12 cars that laughed at the idea of breaking down. I bet you don't want to miss car number 2, which will blow your mind. Car number 12. Volvo P1800, 1961 to 1973. It's not fast, it's not flashy. So why has this brick on wheels outlived entire car companies? The Volvo P1800 looks like it rolled out of a spy movie, and there's one that's proven Swedish engineering doesn't mess around. It's clocked over 3 million miles and still runs. Under the hood, you've got a 1.8-liter engine, making around 90 horsepower. That might not sound like much, but this little motor was built like a tank. It could go 100 miles per hour and actually get decent gas mileage, about 25 miles per gallon. Every piece was treated to fight rust, so while other old cars turn into orange flakes, this one stays solid. A collector I know bought a 1966 P1800 15 years ago with 180,000 miles. Today it starts every time, rain or shine. Now let's head to America, where GM actually got it right. Car number 11, Buick LeSabre, 1992 to 1999. This big sedan became the automotive equivalent of that reliable friend who always shows up when you need them. The Buick LeSabre was built when GM remembered how to make cars that didn't break. The 3.8-liter V6 engine made 170 horsepower, plenty to merge on highways without drama. Here's the magic. It got around 30 miles per gallon on the highway while being smooth as butter. No jerky shifts, no weird noises, just quiet power. Taxi drivers and traveling salesmen made these cars famous because they could hit 400,000 miles while still having life left. Fleet managers at rental companies loved them because they rarely needed anything beyond routine maintenance, and the spacious interior meant even tall passengers were comfortable on long trips. Consumer Reports consistently rated it as one of the most reliable vehicles ever tested, earning their recommended badge multiple years running. Car number 10, Mercedes-Benz W123, 1976 to 1985. These cars are still running taxi routes in Morocco, with over 600,000 miles on original engines. Let that sink in for a moment. The Mercedes W123 was built like they expected it to survive the end of the world. The diesel version had a 2.4-liter engine, making only 72 horsepower, but it could run forever on a teaspoon of fuel. We're talking 30+ miles per gallon, and this thing would start in freezing weather when other cars wouldn't even try. The doors weighed about 100 pounds each and closed with a sound like a bank vault. The paint was so thick you could practically bounce coins off it. Mercedes engineers used twice as much steel as they needed and tested every part until it broke, then made it stronger. Car number 9, Honda Accord 3rd generation, 1986 to 1989. Cuban mechanics call them forever cars because they survive conditions that kill military vehicles. That's quite a reputation to live up to. Honda, in the 1980s, was obsessed with building cars that would never break. The 2.0-liter engine made 98 horsepower and could get 32 miles per gallon, like having a car that sips gas while still having enough power to pass slow trucks. These Accords came from an era when Honda's philosophy was brutal. Build it right the first time, because if something breaks under warranty, you failed as an engineer. Switching gears to something built for war zones. Car number 8, Jeep Cherokee XJ, 1984 to 2001. If you grew up in the 90s, there's a good chance this was the family adventure wagon, the Cherokee XJ. This thing didn't just drive over rocks, it laughed at them while asking for bigger obstacles. The Cherokee XJ was built like they expected you to drive through actual war zones and still make it to work on Monday. You could drive this anywhere: mud, snow, rocks, steep hills. The US Postal Service bought thousands because they needed vehicles that absolutely wouldn't die. The 4.0-liter straight-six engine made 190 horsepower and could tow 5,000 pounds without breaking a sweat. Simple design meant no fancy computers or complicated parts that cost a fortune to fix. What made the XJ special was its unibody construction. Instead of a separate frame like most trucks, the body itself was the frame. This made it lighter than traditional SUVs. while actually being stronger and more rigid. It's why these things could take a beating that would twist other vehicles into pretzels. Car number 7, Jaguar E-Type, 1961 to 1975. Be honest, if someone handed you the keys to this beauty, you wouldn't say no. Enzo Ferrari called the E-Type the most beautiful car ever made, and he knew a thing or two about beautiful cars. The 3.8-liter straight-six engine made 265 horsepower, which was crazy fast for the 1960s. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 7 seconds. That's still quick today. Independent suspension on all 4 wheels meant it rode smoothly on bumpy roads, but handled corners like it was on rails. Inside, you've got leather seats, a wood dashboard, and enough gauges to make you feel like a race car driver. A collector in England has daily driven his 1967 E-Type for 20 years and says the therapy savings alone paid for another E-Type, which he bought. Speaking of pure driving experiences, car number 6, Porsche 911, pre-1974. Ask any old school Porsche driver and they'll tell you, the early 911s were pure magic. Before Porsche added computers to everything, they built the 911, a car so fundamentally right, they're still basically making the same thing today. The 2.0-liter flat-six engine sat in the back and made 130 horsepower. This car only weighed 2,300 pounds and could hit 60 miles per hour in 8 seconds while reaching 130 miles per hour all day long. These 911s dominated endurance racing at places like Le Mans and the Targa Florio, proving they weren't just pretty faces, but serious performance machines that could handle punishment for 24 hours straight. Early 911s had no traction control or computer helpers. Just you, the car, and the road having an honest conversation about who was in charge. If you made a mistake, the car told you immediately. If you did everything right, you understood why people fell in love with these things. Now for some all-American thunder, car number 5, Chevrolet Corvette, 1963 to 1967. America decided to build a real sports car and actually nailed it on the first try. The second-generation Corvette proved American engineers could do more than just make cars bigger and louder. The small-block V8 engine made anywhere from 250 to 435 horsepower, depending on which one you picked. Even the base model could hit 60 miles per hour in 6 seconds and reach 140 miles per hour. This Corvette got about 12 to 15 miles per gallon, which nobody cared about because it looked like a rocket ship and sounded like thunder. Inside, you've got bucket seats, a full set of gauges, and that classic 4-speed manual transmission. The C5 generation later took this foundation and created what many consider the ultimate American sports car story. To see how they became the real GOAT, check it out in our channel. By the way, which of these would you trust for a 1,000-mile road trip? Drop it in the comments. And let's head east to Japan for the ultimate tough truck. Car number 4, Toyota pickup Hilux, 1979 to 1995. Toyota looked at American pickup trucks breaking down and decided to show them how it's really done. The 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine made 116 horsepower. Not a lot, but it was built like farm equipment. This little motor could pull 3,500 pounds and still get 28 miles per gallon on the highway. The truck bed could carry 1,400 pounds of stuff, and the 4-wheel drive system was simple and bulletproof. No fancy electronics, just a lever you pulled to engage the front wheels when you needed them. These trucks were so tough that BBC's Top Gear literally tried to kill one. They drowned it, set it on fire, dropped it from a crane, hit it with a wrecking ball, and demolished a building with it on top. It still started. The ride was rough and the interior was basic, but nobody cared because this thing would run forever. A construction foreman showed me his 1987 pickup with 480,000 miles. He's done nothing but oil changes, brake pads, and one clutch. Car number 3, Ford Crown Victoria, 1992 to 2011. From a boxy Swedish survivor to an all-American cop car legend, meet the Ford Crown Vic. It was built for one job, getting beaten up by police officers and taxi drivers 24 hours a day and asking for more. The Crown Vic was a mobile office that could survive almost anything. Police chose it because it could handle high-speed chases, take impacts from behind during traffic stops, and still make it back to the station. The 4.6-liter V8 was so understressed that highway patrol officers joked about checking if the engine was actually running. When police retired these with 200,000 hard miles, they were just broken in. Taxi companies bought them and ran another 300,000 miles without major problems. Many departments bought extras when Ford stopped making them, just for spare parts. Car number 2, Mercedes-Benz W123 S-Class, 1979 to 1991. Mercedes basically forgot how to make money when they built the W126, because they poured everything into making it perfect. The 3.8-liter V8 made 233 horsepower and could cruise at 80 miles per hour all day without breaking a sweat. Gas mileage was about 20 miles per gallon on the highway, but the real magic was how smooth and quiet it was. At 70 miles per hour, you could whisper to someone in the back seat and they'd hear you clearly. According to automotive historians, Mercedes reportedly lost money on every single one because they cared more about building the best car possible than making a profit. The engineering was so obsessive it bordered on crazy. They had backup systems for their backup systems. And finally, the ultimate survivor, Toyota Land Cruiser FJ60, 1980 to 1990. The Toyota Land Cruiser 60 series represents automotive immortality. This wasn't just built to last forever. It was engineered to laugh at breaking down while driving through places that don't even have roads. The 4.2-liter straight-six engine made 135 horsepower, not much by today's standards, but it was built like a tractor engine. This motor could pull 6,000 pounds and still climb mountains. Gas mileage was terrible at 12 miles per gallon, but when you're driving through deserts or jungles, who cares? The four-wheel drive system was bulletproof. Low-range gearing meant you could climb walls, and the solid axles could take beatings that would break modern trucks. The United Nations chose these for the world's worst places. When people needed vehicles that absolutely had to work in war zones and disasters, they bought Land Cruisers. These trucks have been shot at, blown up, rolled down mountains, and submerged in rivers. They keep running. This is the ultimate survival vehicle, designed by engineers who forgot things are supposed to break eventually. Engines will fail, companies will disappear, but these legends, they'll keep rolling long after the rest of the world has stopped. Tell me, which one would you bet your last mile on? And before you go, hit subscribe for more automotive legends that refuse to quit, and remember, sometimes the old ways were the best ways.